Hello everyone and welcome along to another rugby discussion video. We've got the Rugby World Cup kicking off in only a matter of a few weeks time now, and the teams with a deadline of the 31st of August are starting to name their finalised Rugby World Cup squads. And the big one coming out just, I think it was yesterday, was the Wallabies Rugby World Cup squad. So I have got my resident Australian called on here to give a little bit of a chat with me on this one. TheScottishCannon, welcome along. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on your channel again.
Thanks for coming along, and I'm sure you got heaps to say about this Wallabies squad, so we'll give a bit of a look through now. Remember guys, this is just our opinion on this squad. Of course, you know, we're no expert professionals. This is just what we think about this, and of course if you've got different opinions, do leave them in the comments. It's always good to have a good discussion going on about, you know, all the happenings of the rugby world, who you think is unlucky as well, things like that, and what you think about this Wallabies squad. So we're going to dig straight into it, and we're going to start right at the front. We're going to dissect this squad down, this 31-man squad, from the top, from the front row, where it all begins. The hookers. Now the Wallabies have just picked two hookers, and Stephen Moore and Pelota now. Is this a good idea just to pick two hookers? Because they've picked two squads of 15, technically, instead of a overall squad of 31. That's the main starting point for the squad. But two hookers is where it all begins. What's your thoughts on just two hookers?
I think it's very interesting because they're going to have to play every single match of the Rugby World Cups. If someone gets injured, we might be screwed. You know, Moore and Plotting out will probably be on a rotation policy. Steve Moore's the captain, so he'll play a lot of the matches. But I'm very interested. I'm not sure why he didn't pick James Hansen. I think he was playing quite well for the Reds this year, and you know he's been playing well in the National Rugby Championship match tonight. And I was just a bit interested. What did you think over there?
Well, like you brought up, it is interesting because now, regardless of who they're playing, you know, sure they've got a tough pull and all that, but still, if Pelota now starts, you know, Stephen Moore's still going to have to be on the bench. They can't not play them both. So either way, you know, there's a lot more higher risk of players getting injured, which that filters through for the rest of the squad as well. And you know, like you say, players like James Hansen, unlucky, he's been in the squad for quite a bit of time as well, and they've just, you know, dropped him off right at the end. So that confused me on that one right from the start, but it's this policy of two 15s. Some are calling it a genius, others are saying he's crazy. So we've got off the hookers, we go on to the props, and this one has got more surprises in it. We've got 5 props in here, and we have one uncapped prop who has been in the squad but not actually played yet, which somehow he's made his way straight into the World Cup squad. We've got Greg Holmes, Sekope Kepu, Scott Seo, James Slipper, and Toby Smith. Your thoughts on, well, those 4 and Toby Smith, the new man, the New Zealander even?
Yeah, I'm glad we have a New Zealander in the squad. He's been playing very, very well this year for the Rebels. And, you know, I think he maybe should have gone the goal maybe against Argentina in the Rugby Championship or something. I really think he's a good scrummager, and you know, I'm glad he's in the squad, but you know what? Choosing 5 different props. You know, Greg Holmes has a veteran. Sekope Kepu been in the squad for ages. Scott Seo been playing well very recently, and James Slipper, a seasoned veteran as well. I'm happy with the props. I'm not really sure who else I would have picked in that position, to be honest. So I'm quite happy with how it went. What do you think?
Toby Smith is a very good player. He's a good pickup. I think for the Wallabies, he was, you know, kind of on the cusp of the All Blacks lookings over the last few years before he left New Zealand. But he's a good player, like I say, he's a good scrummager. I just find it strange how they've still picked him in the squad without giving him any chances in the Rugby Championship or anything like that. I guess he'll play against USA. Surely he'll play against USA. But, you know, just not giving him any chances unless this was a last-minute change of ideas that Checker had. We'll never know, but you'd think he would have given him at least a chance to get a cap and before he goes off to the World Cup. That is the props done and dusted. We move on to every position here is controversial and it has discussion points. The locks, the second rowers, we have 4 coming with Kane Douglas, Dean Mumm, Rob Simmons and Will Skelton. these pretty much, I guess these guys pick themselves, only having 4, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 of them in your match day squad every week, so it's really going to stretch their resources. What's your thoughts on these ones?
I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. I think Kane Douglas has been playing very, very well up in the European rugby for the last few years, and I think, it's a very, very gutsy decision for a checker to make, only choosing Douglas on, 30 minutes worth of Bledisloe 2 where they got creamed. Dean Mum's always been quite well, that amazing try against Argentina shows that, and I've always been a fan of Dean Mum. I'm glad he's in there. Rob Simmons, interesting selection as well. I think he's a good player as well, but probably what you'll probably disagree with is probably the selection of Will Skelton. I think Will Skelton is going to imply a very important role in this World Cup. I think his size and his stature, I think, is going to be massive against the European forward pack with obviously England and Wales were up against. So I want to use Will Skelton as an impact player off the bench in lots of matches, but a very interesting decision. What do you think of James Horwill not being in the side?
Yeah, that was going to be my next point. I thought that was kind of surprising. I thought he had played very well on his chances in the Rugby Championship, and when he's been in a Wallabies jumper, he's played really well. And I thought had played his way into the squad, but apparently not. I don't really like Will Skelton as a player. I always knew he was going to be selected. There's no question he'll be selected, but I just think he's not quite there as a top shelf international player. Like, I see where you're coming from with his size and aggression and that, but I just, for the Wallabies' sake, hope that he can keep his head cool, because he's someone who can get he can get a bit niggly, and it could get them in trouble.
Penalties away, yeah, it could be costly.
It could be. It only takes one penalty in the 79th minute against England. Someone pisses him off, and he, it's history. And that could be real costly for the Wallabies. But, he's there for a reason. What you say is true. He's impactful. And if they use him properly, keep him under control, he could be a big asset for them as well. I think Horwill's unlucky as well in the second row. Into the back row. Now, there's plenty to talk about in the back row here. They have gone with 6 back row options. Michael Hooper, of course, no question about that. Ben McCalman, Sean McMahon. Big talking point straight off the whistle there. Wycliffe Palu, David Pocock, and Scott Fardy. What do you think about that? So, Sean McMahon, what do you think about him? He's a good player, but
he is a good player.
Where's he been?
Exactly, where has he been? He hasn't played a minute of rugby for the Wallabies this year. And he had a breakout start up at the spring tour last year, and it must have impressed Checker enough to pick him. I think Sean McMahon, almost was the Rebels' best this season, and I'm really happy that he's in the side. I think he's going to play a vital role in that Fiji and Uruguay match, and will cover, if there was to get an injury for Hooper and Pocock as well. I think I'm really happy Scott Fardy's been very consistent in the Rugby Championship as the blindside flanker. I think he's been playing very, very well. Michael Hooper, obviously, I think he's been playing very well as well. He's got great defense. He acts like a back. With his running and his breaking of tackles and line breaks. I'm not really sure on Ben McCalman. I haven't really paid attention to the Force too much this year because they've been losing him a lot. He's played 40 tests, so I think he can play a vital role in this World Cup. And he's obviously going to be covering number 8 as well. And obviously Wycliffe Palu, he played pretty poorly in Bledisloe too. So I'm surprised that he's been picked, to be honest. It was maybe. He's a massive impacting player. He's a big stature, and if Michael Checker wants to use that aggressive, squash the forwards opposition, he's going to be the perfect choice. If David Pocock and Michael Hooper aren't going to start on the same pack.
Yep, that's good point for Palu there as well. I think McMahon, he is a good selection. I thought he would have been in the squad to start off with, but when he got left out of that original, the Rugby Championship kind of team and didn't play at all, I thought that was his marching orders. So it was a bit of a surprise to see him back in there, given, the lack of rugby he's had. The big one for me, though, is the omission of Scott Higginbotham. What do you think about that? I think he's been the former Australian player of Super Rugby, and now he's on the road.
It's an interesting decision as well because he played that first match against South Africa this year, and he had a pretty poor game. And I think Michael Cheika maybe should have given him another chance. But where to put him though? I mean, we've got such quality back rowers in Australia that it's really hard to shove him in. Would you maybe put him in instead of Ben McCalman or Wycliffe Parley? Who would you swap him out for?
You're probably one of those two. That's probably where the surprise come of Sean McMahon coming in from nowhere when you seemed like Higginbotham was going to be the one that would take that spot. But it's hard to mix and match it up. But McCalman or Palu will probably be the picks. I think Scott Fardy is that number 6 jumper tattooed on his back already. Hooper and Pocock and Palu have been the mainstays in the 7s and 8s. And just the form, doesn't seem to count for anything for poor old Higginbotham, who's now, hoping that one of them guys will get injured, which is a bit of a poor situation to be at. But that's one that surprised me from the back rowers. It's contentious issues going on through there. A lot of good players missing out for the Wallabies pack. But even more contentious as we move into the back line and the scrum halves. Oh, this one puzzled me as well. We've got 2 scrum halves. Most teams would pick 3, but we've just got 2 here for the Wallabies, and it's Will Guinea and Nick Phibbs. So no room for White, which he has been the best Wallabies scrum half this year, I think. And, Phibbs and Guinea have been pretty much non-existent over the Rugby Championship. Do you think White is horrifically unlucky to miss out?
Yes, I think he is, and he played a vital role in that Bledisloe win over the All Blacks. But he had a reasonable game, I think, Bledisloe too. I'm surprised he's not in the squad, to be honest. I don't know why they won't go in with it. They've obviously got Matt Giddo who can cover scrum half, but he plays 12. He's one of the best 12s in the world, and I'm surprised that that Nick White's not in the side, and he's got very good goal kicking as well. So I'm surprised he's not in there as well, because we've got problems down here with our kicking. So I think Genia, I'm glad he's picked, because obviously he did his knee in that first win over South Africa. I'm glad he's in the side, but Nick Phipps and Bernard Foley come as a package. If Foley was going to be picked, Phipps was going to be picked.
Yeah, that's right, they do, and they seem to crumble all over the pitch as well in a package together. They seem to affect each other's play so dramatically that they are like an old married couple out there in the middle of the park between Phibbs and Foley. It's sometimes can be entertaining to watch from this side of the Tasman, but I just don't know how they've gone with not picking White. Guinea, like say, played that first match and got that injury. He was improved in that match, I think, but he didn't set the world alight at all. And Phibbs, goodness me, has been absolutely horrible in the Rugby Championship for the most part, and they're the 2 going. So all you can say for the Wallabies is that you hope that they find some form from somewhere, because they're going to need the Guinea of old to come back. And when we move on from the scrum halves, we see his old buddy is there in the fly halves. Quade Cooper, which I'm sure you've got a hell of a lot to say about, and of course Bernard Foley. How did Quade get in this squad after what happened in that Bledisloe match?
I'm not sure. I think it was Michael Cheika was very, very sorry for him. He thought he did a good job with the go forward of the forwards in Bledisloe too. I disagree. He made 3 or 4 vital errors. He got that obviously yellow card that swung the momentum to the All Blacks, and his defensive play is very disappointing as well. So I know Quade Cooper is the best fly half in the 2011-2012 season, but he's gone past his best, really. I think he had an average season for the Reds this year, and I'm surprised. I'm not surprised he's in the squad. I'm not really sure who would be the other fly half, to be honest. We can always switch, match and switch with Matt Giddo and Tamura always going into 10 as well. I always knew Quade was going to go, but it's just a decision that a lot of people have been asking. Bernard Foley, he's I think he's gone away after last week, and I think he's reflected. I think he knows that he needs to improve, and hopefully he's back to that 2014 form that helped the Waratahs win the Super Rugby. Hopefully Nick Phipps and Foley can get it together, but very, very contentious decisions.
It is indeed. Do you feel sorry for Leleafano. I know you knew I'd bring this up, but I think he's one of the best backs in Australian rugby. Do you agree with that? Do you think he's unlucky?
I think he's unlucky, yes. I think he's very unlucky. He had a great match over for the World 15 last weekend against Japan, pressing his claims for a Wallaby co-op. But, we just got such depth in that 10-12 position. We've got Quade Cooper, Bernard Foley, Curtly Beale can play. I said Matt Giddo already. Matt Tamua. So, we already have 5 10s and 12s. It's very, very hard to choose, Christian Leleafano in the team. I think he played well for the Brumbies this year as well, and his goal kicking is amazing as well. I'm really surprised he hasn't really been given the chance this year.
Yeah, if I was picking a squad, it would be Quade would be gone, and Christian would be in. That would be my change, especially in the fly halves, definitely. Into the outside backs, and we've got 3 listed here, but I think they've messed something up here, and there should be 4. They've got Curly Beale, Matt Gitto, Matt Tamua, and if you ask me, Tavita Kurandrani is definitely a centre, so we'll put him in there as well. They really picked themselves. I don't think you can even argue with those 4 players.
No, I can't. I think Curtly Beale's been very impactful off the bench. Matt Giddo's playing very, very well. His South Africa match and his Wallaby win over the Bledisloe, I thought he had great games in both. And, he's just come back into the form of 2007 where he played so well. And it's crazy to think he actually missed the Wallaby squad in 2011. So it's a big relief off his shoulders. Matt Tamua's been playing very well as well. At 10 and 12, he really straightens up the Wallaby attack. And Tavita Kurandrani, to be honest, I think he's been very, very quiet this year. I don't know what you think of this. I know he's a great player, but he's been very, very quiet. He's not as impactful as he was last year.
Yeah, but he's not been bad, is what you could probably say. He's been solid, at least. He's done nothing horrifically wrong. But he owns that number 13 jumper. There's no question about that. I don't think anyone's going to ever take that off him unless something really bad goes wrong with him. But he owns that jumper. And you're right what you say. Beale, Gitto and Tamua there pick themselves, and the same goes with the outside backs as well. I think it's something that the Wallabies, once you go from 11 out to 15, they're pretty much secure, those guys, and there's not really looked like anyone else is going to push in to that little group. And the likes of Adam Ashley Cooper, Israel Folau, Rob Horn, Drew Mitchell, Henry Spate, Joe Tamani in there. It's a very good outside back package from the Wallabies. Do you agree?
Yes, it is very, very great choices. Rob Horn, his versatility is going to be great, and his defensive prowess is going to be great for the Wallabies. Drew Mitchell, obviously a seasoned veteran for the Wallabies. He had a great match. Well, he didn't have a great match. He had a solid match in the Bledisloe Cup win over the Wallaby, over the All Blacks. Israel Folau is going to pick himself. Adam Ashley Cooper, vice captain, has been very, very solid for the Wallabies this year as well. Henry Spate, he's been a bit quiet for my liking, to be honest. The same as Joe Tamani. I don't think they've been given enough chances yet. So I'm interested to see how they'll play, hopefully, in the USA match, as well as the Uruguay and Fiji match. So, I'm happy with our outside backs. What would you think? Do you think now Viravoro should be given a chance at all? Or are you happy with the outside backs for the Wallabies?
I think those guys really picked themselves, and Naivaro didn't even get a chance to even really impress at the international level. And is he still going off over to Scotland? Does that still all go? Do you know?
Yeah, he's off to Glasgow next year, so I think I'm not sure what he'll be doing, but it'll be the last time we see of him for a while.
So they're not even trying to get him out of that contract at all, which that kind of surprises me. If they really wanted him.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be very, very disappointing for a lot of people, because he is very, very impactful. He's almost like a John Olomu, and I'm glad he's going to Scotland, because at least my second team or my first team can obviously pay dividends and get the asset of who Naivaro actually is.
Yep, that's true. Fair enough. And it is a shame that he didn't really get a chance to even step up and play for the Wallabies after all the hype and all the build-up and everything that went around with his selection. So the Wallabies have picked a few extra players that probably were the unlucky ones to miss out on the squad. They'll be going to USA to face the Eagles. at Soldier Field on September the 5th, and they were Sam Carter, Dave Dennis, Tetra Faulkner, James Hansen, Scott Higginbotham, James Hall, Samu Kurivi, Christian Liliafano, I can't say his first name, Naivaro, and Nick White. They're really the group that are unlucky to miss out. Do you think there's any chance, that these guys could really make a big impact here, and, people may start to rue some of the changes or some of the selections that have already been made to the squad?
Yeah, I'm not sure if any will be given a chance against the USA, to be honest. I'm not sure of what Michael Check is going to go into. He's going to surprise everyone, probably. He's probably going to choose Quaid outside, in 15, and, he's probably going to go crazy. He's a man, and sometimes Michael Checker. So I don't know what he's got planned for the USA. I'm not sure if he'll be giving his Rugby World Cup squad a decent amount of game time, build some combinations, or if he will give these, the extended Wallaby squad a chance. I don't think Sam Carter, Dave Dennis, Faulkner, or probably Naivira Aurora will be given a chance. I think the other 5 players have a chance of, possibly playing, but I don't think they will.
What's your general opinion here of Checker? There's a lot of talk whether he's a crazy man or whether he's a genius. What way are you tipping the scales here?
Well, it just depends. It really, really depends. So, I mean, you can just tell with the Waratahs this season. Some matches they'll just absolutely smash and play amazing, like the match against the Crusaders this year, where they basically ended their finals aspirations. They played very, very well against the Reds, but then had a nightmare against the Highlanders. Same goes for, the Wallabies. So he had an amazing, choice in Sydney, and they got smacked over in Auckland. So, Checker's he's just, no one knows. He's very unpredictable, and that's what I like about him.
What's your general feeling about this squad? Going into a Rugby World Cup, here's your 31. What do you think? Where are they going to finish? What's your confidence in these players?
I think my confidence is semi-finals, hopefully. I know lots of English and Welsh fans will be hoping that, a few of our players get injured. But, honestly, I think we can get over Wales this year. I really think we can get over Wales. I'm not really sure if we'll beat England. I think we'll be second out of our pool. And then we'll end up to go and face, probably South Africa in the quarterfinals, which would be a great match as well. So, I've got hope in this Wallaby squad, but they still need to impress me. I think we need to build some combinations. We need to stop this chopping and changing around, and we just need to build some foundations.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your opinions. Thanks for joining me here on this little look back at the Wallabies World Cup squad. Thanks for coming along.
Thank you for having me on the channel.
Not a problem at all. And, of course, thanks everyone for tuning in and watching this little look into the Wallabies squad. If you've got your own opinions on this match, on this squad, I should say, leave them below. Who you think's unlucky, who you think's lucky, all that kind of thing. How do you think the Wallabies are going to go? This is the squad they're taking. And, of course, leave your comments below, hit the like, and, of course, subscribe to the Scottish Cannon and to the Cornflakes Crib. And we'll see you all next time, where we have plenty more rugby coming your way, building up to the Rugby World Cup. Until then, take care.